Well, I'm back, everybody. This is your boy D Mac. I apologize for the little confusion earlier. I was supposed to come on at 9:35, but then I got preoccupied with making a TikTok video for Father's Day, just saluting the fathers, a little something funny. I posted it right before I jumped on to do this video. So go and check out my Father's Day tribute to all the fathers out there who doing their thing and holding it down. Happy Father's Day to you. Um, I wanted to get on and talk about fatherhood. That's the whole point of this episode, is to discuss fatherhood versus hood fathers. If you look in the description down there, you'll see where I'm talking about different types of fathers. I labeled Boosie Badass. I labeled LeVar Ball. I labeled just a lot of different father figures out here. Master P is always champion fatherhood. And so I named off a lot of these guys because what I really wanted to do, I wanted to do a comparison and open up a conversation about some of the older men out here in the hood who not teaching the young men the things that they need to know in order to survive out here and make it in life. And so I want to talk about fatherhood versus hood fathers. Now, when I say hood fathers, I'm not talking about those men who are in the projects and they have their family and they working hard trying to keep their children out of stuff. I'm not talking about that when I say hood fathers. When I say hood fathers, I'm talking about those dudes that's out there on the corner that's trying to act like they the same age as these little young kids and just really embarrassing themselves because they're not willing to grow up and mature and let go of certain behaviors. And so I wanted to point this out because a lot of kids will follow this person. They would think, oh, this dude is cool. The young mind isn't developed enough to understand that this person has some issues and they're not fully developed themselves. And so they will attach themselves to that person, and that person can lead them down a wrong road for the simple fact that that person has nothing really to offer other than hood economics and hood politics, and those things only carry you as far as the hood. And so when you get outside of the hood, you need a different mindset. You need some different instructions to be able to deal with different types of people in this world. And that's where fatherhood comes in versus hood fathers. Hood fathers can only teach you things within the hood. Fatherhood and true fathers can teach you everything that you need to know to survive out here as a man, because that's another one of the differences between a hood father and fatherhood. The guys who operate in fatherhood understand what being a man is. And so I say that when I bring up Boosie Badass, he got a whole lot of blowback with a lot of people because of, one, the way that he raises his sons. And now he said some things. He said he got a stripper for his son or got to get a prostitute for his son, things like that. You don't want to do stuff like that. But where Boosie is from and the way that he was raised, ain't nothing wrong with that. And I can relate to that on a certain level, but I can't condone it. But for the simple fact, I had uncles who raised me like that. And, when my dad passed when I was 17, I was right in the midst of starting my social life with females and stuff like that. And so I had a lot of uncles and males in my family who gave me a lot of error teaching on how to get women, and they taught me how to lure women in, and they taught me how to sweet talk women to get what I want, but they never taught me how to maintain any relationships, and I never saw them do that. And so that wasn't beneficial for me. I had to unlearn a lot of that error behavior that was taught to me. And so I can understand where Boosie is coming from with his mentality, because he was raised in that same type of environment that I was, and he's failed to recognize that he needs to unlearn that stuff. And so that would put him in the category of being a hood father. Now, not saying that this man don't have a great heart, because he do. He's there in his children's life, which is the number one priority, is your presence. And he's also taken it upon himself to raise other people children as well, for the simple fact that he has the means to give them better opportunities and a better life. So I can't knock that brother all the way around, but there are some things that we learn coming from the deep south. He from Baton Rouge, I'm from North Carolina. We the dirty south. And in the dirty south, there's some things that I noticed was different in other places as far as parenting goes. And the one thing that I'm going to point out right now that I've been very guilty of is, I noticed down in the South, in the dirty South, you find that a lot of parents do drugs with their children. You find they smoke weed with their kids, or, do even harder drugs and party with their children. That's a dirty South thing. I don't know what it is. I got out here in Texas, and you don't see that so much. I mean, and I've been to a lot of different areas in Texas, and that's just not something that you see a whole lot of. That I haven't seen it anyway, and I've been in Texas for over 18 years now. And that's one thing that I noticed as far as parenting, is that thing right there that I just spoke of. So in North Carolina and in a lot of these southern areas where there was a lot of questionable parenting and upbringing, where we dealt with a lot of things like incest, and we dealt with molestation and different things like that within these large family units out in secluded areas with nothing else to do but mess with each other. These brings about a thing in your psyche. These brings about mental health issues later on in life for us that we have to deal with. And if we don't, we're going to pass those same mental issues on to our children. And so we as fathers, particularly fathers being under the microscope that we've always been under, it's detrimental that we do not fall into the realm of being our child's friend and teaching them all the wrong stuff, trying to be cool and trying to get them to like us. It's not about them liking us. It's about them being protected and them being guided in the right direction so that they can grow up to become the men and women that'll take over whenever we can no longer move forward in what we were called to do. And once our purpose is done, we can rest easy and close our eyes and go home to the Father easy, knowing that we have raised children and other people around us that are going to take your legacy forth, and that are going to continue to put forth decency and goodness and kindness in the world, all of the things that you instilled in them. So whatever you invest in those children, whatever you invest in the future, they're going to have to deal with the sum total of that. And there may just be a reckoning for some of the wrong things that you teach children trying to be cool. And so I'm going to confront these hood fathers and let y'all know, brothers, it's time for y'all to grow up, man. It's time for you to let go of the 90s. I know you had a good time in your peak years, and you don't want to let that go, and you feel like your youth is slipping away, and you're just not feeling like your old self, and you're doubting yourself, and people calling you old head and stuff like that. Bro, you got to embrace that. Embrace that title of old head, because you earn that, man. The words say that your gray hair is a crown of glory, but we spend so much time trying to cover up our crown. We want to call ourselves kings. How a king gonna cover up his crown? But that's what we're doing because we are ashamed of maturing. We're ashamed of getting older, and we're holding on to our youth, trying to hold on to a youth that's been gone for a long time. It's time to let it go, brothers. We need y'all to step up. These young men out here who can get an audience with you, You need to make the best of that interaction, because it can be the difference between life and death. And it's crazy how some things can come back to haunt you. And that's life, man. That's life. We have to know when to put some things down. When I was a child, I thought as a child and I acted as a child. But when I became a grown man, I began to put away childish things. Now, that's not to say that I can't be out here silly and cracking jokes and be a funny person and lighthearted and have fun with you. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to always be serious and stone faced, but you do have to have those boundaries to establish that, hey, I am an authority figure, and what I'm saying to you is something that's going to help you to eat for life, not just one day. And as long as you maintain those boundaries, you can have healthy relationship with young people without overstepping and without embarrassing yourself. Because that's what it is. It's really embarrassing to see a 40, 50-year-old man trying to act like one of these young kids out here. So let's concentrate on fatherhood. Fatherhood is the watchword. That is our key. That is our focus. This goes out to every man, not white, not black. No, there's no ethnicity. This is a gender thing that I'm addressing. I'm addressing our gender. Men, excuse me, men. It's time for us to step up. It don't have to be your child. It don't have to be your nephew or your little cousin, no relation. It can be a kid that you see moving a certain way, and you're gonna know, you're gonna feel that tug if the spirit is telling you to, hey man, go say something to that dude. Listen to it when it does. Listen to it when it does. You may not even see the benefits of what you told that person. You might not even see that seed flourish and grow and become something. But just to know that you planted that seed should be enough, because we're not out here looking for gratitude and pats on the back for what we do. This is our reasonable service. That's all. And I ain't never been the one to pat somebody on the back for doing something that they should do, for doing something that is expected of them at a bare minimum. I'm not giving you kudos for that. You know, when you go above and beyond, then that's when the recognition comes into play. That's how the system has always worked, because it taught us to value hard work and to value the sacrifices that was made in order to get to a certain level. And that's why we don't do the participation trophy thing. I never agree with that concept, because it taught people to be complacent with mediocrity. And that's a strike against fatherhood right there. That's one of the main things that we teach our sons and daughters, is to strive for the greatest heights. Don't settle. You know what I'm saying? And so fatherhood is the main topic right now. We're coming up on Father's Day. My dad was a strict disciplinarian. I've talked about it before. My father was the guy who go to work, come home, make sure that you cleaned up, make sure that you done your homework and all of the chores that need to be done. And, you know, if you didn't, then he got on your case about it. And, you know, every Friday he would take me and my brother to Whataburger. It wasn't nothing major. It wasn't no grandiose affair. He would just, when he got off work every Friday, he would come pick us up at the house, and he would take us to Whataburger. And we would sit at Whataburger and we would just joke around and kid around, man. And that is, I'm 45 years old and I still remember that vividly. That is one of the fondest memories in my life. Chilling at Whataburger with my brother and my pops, picking at people, flaming people up, just having fun, man, just being guys. And that was important to him to instill that in me. I remember he gave my brother his first shaving kit whenever he started growing hair on his face. Unfortunately, he passed away before I started growing hair on my face, so he wasn't able to do that for me, but I knew mine was coming. So, but just that's just the basis of what type of man my father was. He was big on instilling manhood into us so that when we went out and we became fathers, we wouldn't crumble under the pressure. We wouldn't be like these young men now today. I was just reading a story the other day about a young man who killed his girlfriend's 9-year-old daughter because she didn't want to be with him anymore. And that is a direct correlation to what I'm talking about, him being brought up without fatherhood. Because a father, anytime your father even gets wind of you mistreating a female or even thinking about putting your hands on a female, come here, we gotta talk. I need to talk to you. Nah, bro, you tripping. Nah, come here, son. That's when we hit you with that. No, son. That's how you know it's serious. Nah, son, sit down. We need to talk now. That's the difference between fatherhood and hood fathers. Hood fathers will co-sign what you did because more than likely they trying to get something out of you anyway. You always smoking weed or you always got their drug of choice. And so they're going to come through and act like they giving you some wisdom as long as they getting their fix from you, and then they on their way. Thinking that they did something good. Maybe in their heart and their mind they did do something good, but in the salute, what's going on, your crazy cousin? Hey, y'all go check this dude content out, man. Your crazy cousin, they definitely are in the same vein, man. This is some of the things that we discuss amongst ourselves as men. Whenever men get together, we talk about the state of manhood and fatherhood in the society right now. And it's a sore sight to see these men out here who running around calling little kids big bro just because that kid got some money. It's sad to see men out here still stuck in the same place that they was 20 years ago because they can't get out of the mindset that they stuck in. It's sad to see children who will ignore or even deny that somebody is their father because they out here walking the streets and they're a poor representation of that child, and that kid is embarrassed to say that that's my dad. That's something that Offset was saying, man. He said he used to see his dad. He would see him. He'd be driving down the street and see him, be like, yeah, that's my pops, and just indifferent about it. But as he grew older, he started to have children, and he understood the importance of a father being in the life of their children. He went and he fixed that relationship with his pops, and he working on that relationship with his pops, and he's trying to forgive him, man. And that's another thing that I really want to convey to you young men who are hurt, who got a lot of pain built up in you because pops wasn't there for whatever reason. He wasn't there, man. No matter what the reason was, if that man come to you and he say, son, I want to be a part of your life, I want to try to fix this, it's gonna hurt, man. And you got so much anger and you want to do so much stuff and say so much stuff. But please, for your own sake, give him an opportunity, man. You might just be surprised. I've seen some stories where brothers have reconciled with their fathers and girls have reconciled with their fathers, and it made a whole 180 turn in their mindset and their view on things. And then I've also seen the other side of that, where some people went to reconcile with their parents and it went totally disastrous, and it was one of the worst mistakes in their life. It's a gamble. It's a gamble, man, but you have to not be afraid to take that gamble because it's worth it, man. If you end up with a father and a grandfather to your children, that is a better man now, that has learned some things and has calmed down and trying to redeem himself and be there and fill that gap that he left for such a long time. Give him that opportunity, man. It's more than just you involved now. You grown now. It's time. It's time for your children to know all of their family, to know where all of their heritage come from, to know why they got that nose like that, to know why they voice sound like that, to know all of these different things that are embedded in the DNA of your mother and your father. I've been watching videos here lately of fathers coming home from prison or coming home from war or wherever they've been and reuniting with their children. Some of them are grown, some of them are teenagers, some of them are still young, and all the way across the board, the reaction is still the same. The the relief in their eyes to see their father there in the flesh, present for them to either cuss out or hug or whatever, man. But just the relief in their mind, in their heart, in their spirit. It was the same in every single video. That's one thing that was the common denominator in every single one of those videos that I watched. And it tug at the heartstrings. I ain't gonna lie, I'm sitting there welling up, tearing up, just because of the power of real love and what was disguised as anger and hatred and resentment towards their father when they weren't present. All of that melted away, not instantaneously, but just in that moment, it melted away because those people were relieved to finally be able to address and get closure on a major part of their life that was missing. So I encourage everybody, man. Father's Day is coming up, and not just because Father's Day is coming up. This is something that I encourage anytime, man. Reconciliation is a good thing, and reconciliation doesn't mean that you have to give in to anything. It doesn't mean that you have to be a doormat for anybody. It means that you are willing to forgive that person of those things that they've condemned themselves for, and probably other people have condemned them for years, holding them down and keeping them in a place of shame to where they just don't see a way to change or to get out of it or redeem themselves. So you got to be the bigger person, not only for your sake, but for your children's sake, for your spouse's sake. All of that, it changes a lot. So in the spirit of Father's Day, once again, go and check out my TikTok video that I just posted in honor of Father's Day, because this is the type of dad that I had, and I'm sure some of y'all are going to relate to this type of dad too. So this your boy D-Mac, man. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.